It's never been harder for tanks. You have piercing, brave weapons, special spamming, and a sea of units that support what nukes do. This is the meta report, and we're going to talk about what happened last month to cause this and where things are going. So, quick trigger warning, yes, we're going to talk about how badly tanks are doing now. Understand this is IS, and give it a month or two and tanks will be back up in the running, and I know how much you all love end turning. That will be back. Let's talk about light season though. This is the season of Omni tanks, so this is one of the hardest hit. Now, cav lines have absolutely ruled the landscape, and with the strength of cavs right now, things have gotten a little ridiculous. The savior for you though is galeforce. So let me know in the comments, when do you think tanks will have a huge resurgence? Is it going to be the Valentine's banner? Are we going to have to wait for the spring bridals? Or is it going to be all the way till summer? So what you're about to see is Fjorm just get demolished by the team that you've probably already seen, because this is the standard right now. Duo Dagger has gained so much value because of how she enables this. One of the hard things with cav lines and flyer lines is getting overlap. Dagger really helps you get that and achieve that effect. But it is rough right now. If we look at one of the biggest solutions to that right now, it's Vantage. Vantage is incredible, and Winter Dimitri helps that along quite a bit. But also Brave Marth, who we'll talk about here in just a bit. All I have to say is, if you are an end turn fanatic, this is probably a strategy that you need to be looking at. Winter Byleth has bumped up a little bit because, honestly, probably the only end turning unit that works consistently right now that isn't Vantage. And even then, this unit has a difficult time, and understand that you will probably have to use them like an Omni tank in Light and Dark season. As far as Tina goes, Tina is interesting. I do have her going up here, but understand that not every team is going to utilize this unit. That was not a popular banner. Still, for units like Dimitri, she could steal the dodge, no follow-up, and Vantage right out from underneath them. This is the season where she's going to have the most effect because so much of it hinges on feud. Embla puts out feud and means that you have to put bonuses on your hero and that you can't use saves. She could very well make an appearance, but I don't think she's going to be a huge storyline. Astra in Anima season is a little different because this is the land of the offensive saves, who I do think they're trying to buff. If you look at the last two major tanks we had, that was Brave Corrin and the Byleths. So I think we are going to see more of that. I am very curious what the Valentine's banner holds because that is always a turning point in the game. We'll see, but currently nukes are just on an insane tear. Duo Sanaki is at the peak there, but Yunaka is amazing. Kavasir, we have Mythic Gulveg. All of those units are very good, and Freyr making it to where you cannot put debuffs on them is huge. Vantage is good as well, but Galeforce reigns supreme and has gained so much value. Let's get into the season. Ninja Sanaki is hands down the best nuke in the game right now, pure nuke. And I don't know what they're going to do to counter her, but I am scared to see what that is. She can single-handedly just absolutely destroy an offense, and you're seeing her take out a Lear right now, and it is something, summoners. I will say that flyer lines have actually lost value, and I would have thought that would have been different with Camilla, but the problem that we talked about is having overlap. Sanaki actually on her own can still be countered. It's when you pair her with other units like Duo Shamir or Yunaka that things really get dicey. The Hanoka lines, on the other hand, are very much stuck in a single line. The Discord is going to be so proud of me. I've put up Brave Marth, finally. Honestly, this unit has just gained a ton of value, and one of the things is you can put him out there. He can actually tank a hit from Sanaki, which is incredible. You're about to see it right now. This is not a fluke. This unit actually does fairly good because you can stick him all out there by his lonesome. You add in something like Treachery from Lucina, who Man, so I knew this unit was going to be good fodder because of all the things she can hand out. I did not realize how good of a unit this would be, and adding treachery to a tank right now, especially the vantage ones, is incredible. It's very, very good. I will say Penrost has gone down possibly by a little bit more than that, and the big thing is he can't stop Edelgard. So many teams have gone to player phase in Astra and Anima and in Light and Dark for that matter, but it is now the #1 enemy that you have to defend against is Edelgard. She's very difficult, and the fact that Penrost doesn't stop her is problematic. It means units like Brave Edelgard get a boost because they can actually tank themselves. So if you're building a defense, it is still priority 1 to take out tanks because that is everyone's favorite strategy. You have to be able to take out the Byleths. But priority 2, and very close to them, is you have to be able to handle Winter Edelgard. It's a tough chore. I don't know if you all noticed, but there were a lot more rank 1s in Chaos Season, and the reason is we knew exactly what was going to face us. It was going to be winter units all the time, so you could actually plan for it. And I have to say I liked the structure a little more. I'm not sure how they would repeat that, and I'm not sure they would want to because I can't handle that powerful of a banner every time. But this season is interesting, and we saw a lot of the same with AoEs. Legendary Camilla was new, and of course, Galeforce just all over the place. Let's get into it though. It's a little funny that Galeforce is one of the major things that got a boost, and I've waited till now to show the first replay, but trust me, Winter Edelgard is amazing, although a little less good in Chaos Season, and the reason is she can't stack enough HP to get past the magic traps. Now, that is not to say, you're watching her right now, like this is incredible. She is an amazing unit in every mode, and in my opinion, the most powerful unit from this last banner. Sather is something else to talk about, and understand she is better for player phase teams, just flat out. In tanking teams, a lot of times, and trust me, I've used Sather a lot, she can inhibit the amount of units that you take out. You really want to take out at least 3 when you're end turning, or else you're going to get overrun. It gets very, very difficult. In player phase teams, however, you can stall and let your unit collect themselves and get into the correct position. It is a lot of fun. I know folks are going to just absolutely guffaw about Byleth actually going down, but I think this is an area where he is not quite holding up his end of the bargain. He really does need supports to tank all of these crazy units. You see here Sonya, and really that's talking about AoE. I think AoE has come back in a huge way in Chaos Season. I talked about it last month. It's still here this month. And Camilla, who you're seeing now who didn't make it, but has a guaranteed amount of damage they do on a unit, and that can really hurt any end turning strategy. This is another one where I think player phase teams are just the way to go, and you keep the enemy phase teams for when you run up against that really easy theme team unit of, say, all Shirenas. Let's get into the archetypes. Galeforce and Cav lines are going up at the same time. It's a little crazy because Galeforce is particularly good against Cav lines, whereas if you have the clump of units, normally you can have a double save and somehow resist Galeforce, which is actually not that hard against Edelgard. It just everyone is using the high threat range teams. I expect that to balance out one way or another. We'll see whether either the Cav lines come down or the Galeforce comes down, but with Winter Edelgard here, I imagine that Galeforce is going to stay good for a bit. I do have hit and run teams going down just a little bit, and the biggest thing there is they are not as good against Cav lines. They are good, but they do better against the Catria Ball or the lump of units strategy, because for those you can really go in, hit a unit, and then pull back all the way to the edge of the map, whereas the high threat range teams are designed to run you down. The next piece was a bit of a surprise, and this is a more of the way we see flyer lines right now. That's kind of a hybrid flyer Cav line, and I was a little surprised how much value they lost with Byleth coming on. And again, it's what we were talking about before Byleth came on. You could really have that 1 or 2 units that would absolutely demolish any tank in the game. that is not really the case. And the other piece there is the fact that he has NCD. So Hinoka lost a ton of value that way. It makes this strategy a lot weaker. You can still use it, but the fact that it is weak to both end turning and Gale Force is really difficult. The last thing I have up there is the latest iteration of the Catria Ball, which ironically does not include Catria. What's going on is units have access to more ways to do damage or Brave without Catria. Think of Camilla and Duosanaki. Camilla basically gets 2 hits. One of those is with the pre-combat damage and one of those is with the in-combat damage. She also has enough damage reduction to where if a tank doesn't have piercing, she generally hits again. Conversely, you have, of course, Sanaki, who already has the Brave hit built in and so doesn't need Catria. There are some things that Catria did, like she helped with warping and all that other stuff, but I'm seeing a lot of really neat teams come out of this, and I believe Infantry Pulse runs one. You should definitely check out their stuff. I know Penrost does, and you should check out their stuff as well. Both of them are very, very good at constructing defenses. One of the neat things we're seeing from Summoner Duels right now is from a player named Flare Blitz, and what they're doing is collecting the compositions of each rank 1 team, and so that you can see how each unit is being used. Crom is the most used unit in this last SDR, which is crazy, but we also have a ton of Cav because they've gotten so powerful. So the first thing we're going to look at is FX Basta, and this is something that a lot of the Asian players were using, and again, Cavs are just incredible, but the amount of mobility you could get out of this map was really something that was a lot of fun. They didn't have any trenches, it just had a block. You would go in and just, especially if they didn't have Kanto control, the game was just over. But again, these Cavs have so much power right now. I think we had confirmed how good Sather was, and that's because of role compression. We use that term a lot here, but the ability to use so many different playstyles and do so many different roles is very powerful. The fact that she can shut down a unit on every turn is something that forces the other team to accommodate for them. The fact that she's also an incredible nuke and can counter the Byleths is pretty incredible. This unit has gained a ton of value in the very short time they've been around, and I expect them to be a mainstay from here going forward. The last little note here is the fact that Thor is going down a bit in value as well, and the big thing is, like we talked about role compression, this unit isn't as good of a nuke as she used to be. She just doesn't quite cut it, and so the only reason you're really using her is because of that duo button. It is the most incredible duo button in Summoner Duels, period. And that's why she's lasted this long, but we've started to see her tick down. Keep in mind though, I have said that before, and some powerful effect will come out and she'll come just raging back into the meta. So keep an eye out for her, but understand, still an excellent unit, but started to tick down. The next thing I wanted to showcase was DTM's team, and the thing is, by all SD accounts, this is an ancient team. The thing that plays to his advantage is that he knows this team very well, and understand practice goes a long way in Summoner Duels. It means you can take a team that is not the latest and greatest and make them work. Also, this team is ridiculous when it comes to action economy and can help you stall out an incredible amount of turns. But you get an extra action from Crom and 2 extra actions from Lucina. This really demonstrates the power that extra actions have. So in general, I have Catria going down, but understand she's still a very good unit in this mode. She is a unit that makes old nukes stand up. Not quite toe-to-toe, but still very close to newer nukes. It's why she will never completely go away in this meta. She's kind of incredible. So understand you don't have to have the latest and greatest, but you have to have a well-practiced team to make up for that. The last thing is Legendary Crom is the most used unit in Summoner Duels right now, and the biggest reason for his rise, yes, it was a great refine, but the fact that he counters Byleths and they are the #1 save that you're going to go up against in Summoner Duels makes him great, along with other stuff that he has. If you have this unit, I would highly encourage you building them up. If you're interested in power creep and why this game has been really frustrating as of late. I've got a great video on that. Members, thank you so much. You are all amazing and help me do a ton of things. Take care and schedule an appointment with your FEHologist real soon.